What is happening, reptile geeks? There are several species here in the reptile world that are very unique here to our country. For any of you guys that live in the southern part of the US like Florida, there's a few of them that are quite valuable as well. And there is one particular animal that really stands out the most of them that I've never gotten to see in the wild in person, but I have seen it in captivity a few times. One of the most unique reptiles in the state of Florida is the American crocodile. And the American crocodile, which is the only crocodilian species that exists here in the continental US. Now, there are multiple species of crocodilians found around the world, and unlike everywhere else in the world, the American alligator and the American crocodile are the only two species that do coexist in the same ecosystem. And this is something that's very cool and special for anybody that lives in South Florida. I'm going to do a little back history on this reptile story, everybody, so stick around. We'll go ahead and get into that detail here in just a moment. When it comes to people visiting the state of Florida, a lot of people just think about alligators, because there's just so many of them, all found everywhere throughout the state, wherever there's a water source, whether it's a canal, a creek, or a pond, there's a good chance there's an alligator in there. But what a lot of people don't realize is that in Florida also, there is the rare American crocodile. Now, the American crocodile, which actually is found in the far southern part of Florida, also coexists with the American alligator population. And unlike American alligators, American crocodiles cannot really tolerate cooler weather, whereas alligators, since they are actually the only crocodilian species that are known to help survive in cooler weather, I've never seen how incredible it is an alligator to brumate under the ice. Oh, well, actually, you know what? Some of you guys may not remember, but within the last month, we had a historic winter storm hit the Gulf Coast. From Texas all the way to the Carolinas, it produced several inches of snow in several locations, and that drove to certain species of reptiles into brumation, including alligators, apparently, where a thin layer of ice actually froze over on some of the lakes and ponds, actually stuck their tip of their noses through the ice, so they can actually still breathe. And there's pictures of this, by the way, so I'll show you guys a quick photo of that if you guys want to see that. It's absolutely wicked looking, and that just shows you how incredible these animals are, just living modern dinosaurs that have done this for God who knows how long. The American crocodile, which is still a very rare species here in the United States, has been actually federally protected since the 1960s due to loss of habitat and due to overhunting. Now, the American crocodile, however, though, within the last 15 years has been discovered has been making a pretty good comeback in their native ecosystems lately. The population as of 2024 is estimated to be about 2,000 crocodiles in the state of Florida. Now, some people might think that's a lot, but in reality, that actually isn't. Whereas in Florida, the statewide alligator population is well over 1 million. Really, that's a big difference right there. And that's one of the few reasons why this animal is so rare. It's also reclusive. It usually tries to avoid coming into contact with humans. And that's what alligators try to do too. They try to avoid confrontation with us because they want nothing to do with us, and they could see us as a potential threat to them. And believe it or not, the reason this animal, and one of the few reasons why the American crocodile is also still federally protected so many years later, is because every year so many people are moving down to Florida, and with these homeowners associates, still taking out some of their natural habitat, these animals literally only have a limited amount of habitat left. And that's why so many wildlife conservationists and wildlife biologists are trying to fight really hard to try and stop habitat loss for these unique animals. And if this continues, these American crocodiles, their populations are probably going to take another dip downward, going back the other way, which we don't want that to happen whatsoever. Now, some people might be asking, well, how did these American crocodiles get here to South Florida in the first place? Really, it's just kind of just like how alligators, have been in Florida for so long since adapted to the place. Because these animals, they weren't really discovered until I think like the 1800s, and a lot of people often think of them as like an introduced species or invasive, but the reality is they are not. They are native to South Florida, and they always have been settlers and have been there, and also since they were first discovered. And plus, unlike the American alligator, the American crocodile also can live in both fresh and salt water as well. Excuse me. And the American crocodile also has salt glands in its mouth as well, which is just like saltwater crocodiles, you know, in Southeast Asia and Australia. These guys can thrive in salt water, which is why also, if you guys take a look up their geographic range, their range stretches all the way from the northern parts of South America all the way up to Central America, Mexico, and into the Caribbean islands as well. So there's obviously salt water out there. So these guys have been known to travel long distant journeys out here in the Caribbean Ocean, and have made their way up to parts of Florida, you know, for so many years ago. It's fair to say these animals are 100% native to South Florida. So for any of you guys that live down in Florida, particularly South Florida, and love the wildlife that lives around you, really help this rare reptile in Florida continue to make a comeback in the native ecosystems in down south. Try to get a hold of also, like, you know, state representatives, you know, to try and see if there's a way to help trying to stop, you know, HOAs from trying to demolish more of their native habitats, because pretty soon, if nothing gets done about it, these rare crocodiles are not going to have much of a place to live. You know, for city slickers how they are, a lot of them are going to be filing complaints, you know, to FWC or local law enforcement to, you know, remove these animals. You know, where are they going to go? I mean, they don't have much habitat in South Florida, you guys. So, and if people continue to move down to South Florida like that and continue to slowly, you know, take out their habitats, the conflict is just going to keep climbing up and up and up. I think a lot of people, and there's a lot of wildlife conservationists out there and a lot of biologists that are doing hard work to also help, you know, continue to improve the American crocodile population. So, if you guys really want to help this help improve the populations and stuff, spread awareness on this unique reptile, everybody, and hopefully soon in the near future we can have plenty of these crocs, you know, to have a lot of habitat for them to remain, and make sure no one, you know, tries to intervene with the project. So, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this unique reptile, and if you guys have any other ways to help this animal come back, and try to see if there's a way to get this animal off the endangered species list in the future, feel free to come up with some ideas down in the descriptions down below. And with that, I'm just gonna go ahead and end this video, everybody. So I will see you guys in the next one.